Hello, this is a mini series on Ruth chapter 2. I did Ruth chapter 1 some weeks ago. So basically, I'm going to give a summary of Ruth chapter 2. I'm going to give a key scripture of this chapter and some takeaways that you can use in everyday life. So this is about Ruth and Naomi, who leave to go to Bethlehem after the tragic loss of their husbands. So as they're walking and reaching Bethlehem, they accosted a harvest field that was owned by Boaz. So the story would pick up from there, as Boaz was very kind to Naomi and Ruth, and it goes on to talk about how God has really provided for them in this journey. So the key scriptures in this is Ruth chapter 2, verses 12. It says, "May the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose ways you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done." So basically, as Ruth and Naomi get to this harvest field owned by Boaz, Boaz was so kind and so compassionate, to allow Naomi to glean in his harvest field, which means that she would pull some grains from his harvest field, and they would use those grains to cook, and to eat and to fix, meals and things like that. So basically, it's similar to somebody owning a vegetable garden or a fruit garden, and they're telling somebody who comes there that they can pick any fruit they like and take it back home for them to eat for free. That's basically the equivalent of what has happened here. So Boaz was just so impressed with Naomi because he heard about the things she has done with helping. Boaz was so impressed with Ruth because she took it upon herself to help Naomi, as a companion, as somebody to take care of her in this time of grieving. So this scripture in Ruth chapter 2, verses 12 was just going over what Boaz was saying to Naomi about her being rewarded for what she has done, for taking on a heart of compassion and kindness towards Naomi. So the key takeaways I took from this is I felt like Naomi and Ruth had no idea that they were in the field of this wealthy man called Boaz. When walking with God, sometimes when you are walking by faith, we just never know how God is going to direct us, right? I believe when we are walking with God, nothing is coincidence. God's provision and guidance will always lead you. Naomi and Ruth had favor. Despite what trials or afflictions they went through, God had a plan for them, for they still had faith and trusted God to be with them. And that's the same way for you. When we walk in with Christ and we trust Him, when we have faith, He will always have provision for you. Even when you think you're making a mistake, even when you make a mistake, He takes account of that and He turns it around for your good. Okay, so that's the key takeaway I had from here, that He provided her with divine favor. Yes, divine favor. When you're walking in obedience to God, following all His precepts, He will give you favor. Yes, He will guide you. He will protect you. He will provide you provision. Okay. Another thing I took away from this is your character is very important. How you are perceived by people will weigh heavily on how they respond to you. Boaz heard how Ruth took care of Naomi when, their husbands died, how she took it upon herself to come with her to her town and take care of her, to go out and look for food for both of them to eat. He thought it was so kind of her, so compassionate, so selfless of her, which made him respond in kind and say, whatever is in my field, you can have, right? So your actions and your mannerisms and your character are so important, okay? People often see your faith in action more than what you say. Let your spirit and character speak for you. Boaz heard all these good things about her and provided her generosity and showed her compassion. We must always remember to have faith that God is directing our every move. Okay? Have a good day. Bye.